I'm going to say something that might get me roasted in the comments. The Gilded Age isn't just a drama about rich people and fancy dresses. It's a chessboard. And in Season 4, the game has gone from subtle moves to open war. Because if you think Bertha Russell's biggest battle is with Mrs. Astor, you're already 3 steps behind. The real enemy is time. And it's running out faster than the audience realizes. Let me paint the picture. The year is 1896, and New York's elite is clinging to an illusion. The old guard still believes they can freeze society in place, while the new money is kicking the door down and redecorating the ballroom, and right in the middle of it all, Bertha Russell, not just playing the game, rewriting the rules entirely, but here's the problem. And this is where the tension really starts to twist. Bertha has been climbing a mountain that was never meant to let her reach the top. In Season 3, she outmaneuvered Astor in the opera war. In Season 4, Astor isn't coming back with gossip or snide remarks. She's coming back with something far more dangerous, control of the narrative. Now this is where it gets dark. In the Gilded Age, reputation wasn't just your social currency. It was your life insurance. Lose it, and the doors you thought were open slam shut overnight. Astor knows this, and she's not going to try to push Bertha out of society's halls. She's going to make her irrelevant in them. And here's where I drop the first forbidden knowledge. Bomb for you. Astor is already seeding rumors in London, across the Atlantic. Why? Because Bertha's trip to England wasn't just about Gladis's marriage prospects. It was about importing status from a place where America's new money couldn't touch her. But if those waters are poisoned before she arrives, Bertha's biggest play could collapse before the first glass of champagne is poured. Now some of you are already typing, Jack. Bertha always finds a way. She's untouchable. Yeah. Tell that to the Van Ryns after Ward McAllister tanked their standing with a single book. Society in the Gilded Age didn't give you warnings. It gave you cliffs. One step too far and you're falling. Speaking of cliffs, Marion Brooke is about to be pushed off one without realizing it. Her rejection of Larry last season wasn't just a romantic subplot. It was a fracture in Bertha's long-term strategy. Larry wasn't just a love interest. He was the bridge between old and new money. With that gone, Marion's position is shakier than she's willing to admit. And here's the twist no one's talking about. Marion might find herself relying on Gladis. That's right, the same Gladis who's been quietly learning every single move her mother makes. Remember Season 3's finale? That wasn't just a reconciliation. That was Bertha finally realizing that her daughter isn't just decoration. She's a weapon. And in Season 4, Gladis might be the one who saves the family, or burns the entire legacy down. Now here's where I want you, the audience, to lock in. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Gladis will be Bertha's greatest ally, or her most dangerous rival? Because I'm telling you, the seeds are already planted for both. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to Breakpoint. Because if you think I'm exaggerating about the storm coming in Season 4, wait until I show you the historical events Julian Fellowes is pulling from that could make the opera war look like a polite tea party. But first, we need to talk about George Russell, because in every war there's the battlefield you can see and the one you can't. Remember the assassination attempt last season? That wasn't a one-off shock moment. That was a signal, a warning that George's real enemies aren't in drawing rooms, they're in boardrooms. And these men don't play with rumors, they play with railroads. Steel and fortunes big enough to crush you without anyone ever knowing your name. And if George thinks he can fight them with the same stubborn pride that's gotten him this far, he might just be walking straight into their trap. But here's the loop. If George falls, Bertha falls. And if Bertha falls, every single Russell ally goes with her. We've seen it happen before in history. The question is, can they rewrite history this time? Let's be blunt. The Gilded Age was a time when politicians were bought the way people buy umbrellas, cheap, replaceable, and guaranteed to fold under pressure. And in Season 4, that political machine is about to put the Russells in its crosshairs. Because here's the part that looks like a business subplot, but is really a declaration of war. George's expansion into steel isn't just about money, it's about leverage. Control the steel, and you don't just build railroads, you build cities, you control skylines, you decide which families rise, and which ones fade into history books no one reads. Now I know what you're thinking. Jack, isn't that exactly George's style? Yes, and that's the problem. The bigger his moves get, the more enemies he collects. And trust me, these aren't petty rivals in opera boxes. These are men who can hire a dozen Ward McAllisters to destroy you before breakfast. Here's the secret. No one in universe is saying out loud, the assassination attempt last season, it wasn't random. It wasn't personal. It was a test, a probe, to see how quickly George's world could unravel if someone cut just one string. And while he's playing the public game, there's a private one happening in whispers. A senator, yes, a sitting U.S. senator, is working behind the scenes to funnel steel contracts to George's competitors, all under the guise of modernizing industry. Translation: the political elite don't want one man controlling the future of the country's infrastructure, unless they own him. But here's where it gets deliciously dangerous. Bertha has no idea. She's planning Season 4 as if society's wars are the only wars worth fighting, and that's where the trap is. Because if George is distracted by keeping her position intact, he might miss the moment the floor collapses beneath both of them. Now, let's shift the focus. Peggy Scott in Season 3, her arc was about fighting prejudice with talent and determination. In Season 4, she's stepping into a role that could put her directly in the Russells' warpath. Why? Because her writing is about to hit a nerve, and not in a polite literary critique way. I'm talking about publishing an expose that threatens to connect political corruption to people Bertha dines with. Think about it. Peggy has always been about truth. But in the Gilded Age, truth is a loaded gun, and once she pulls that trigger, there's no putting the bullet back. Audience, let me ask you this. If you were Peggy, would you print the story knowing it could ruin powerful people and put your own life in danger? Drop your answer in the comments because I'm betting we'll split right down the middle. Now, this is where things get forbidden. There's a man in Season 4, someone we've barely seen, who's about to step forward as a major player. Lieutenant Akers. You remember him? The man who's been quietly handling security matters for the Russells? Turns out he's not just muscle, he's a fixer. A man with enough dirt on New York's elite to start a landslide, and in Season 4, someone is going to pay him to make sure that landslide buries the right people. But here's the kicker. Akers might decide that the right people are the Russells themselves. Why? Because loyalty in the Gilded Age wasn't bought once. It had to be bought over and over, and the moment someone offers a higher price, history shows loyalty disappears like mist in the morning. You see where this is going, right? We've got Bertha fighting for her place in society, George playing steel baron politics, Peggy holding a live grenade in the form of her next article, and a fixer who might be the match that lights it all on fire, and just to loop the tension, Gladis, the saw. One person in this entire web who could either stabilize the family or destroy it from the inside. If she sides with her parents, she becomes Bertha's most powerful weapon. If she rebels, she becomes Astor's greatest ally. This isn't just another season of lavish balls and witty insults. This is a slow-motion collision between ambition, betrayal, and survival. And trust me, by the time we get to the finale, some of these characters won't just lose their social standing. They'll lose everything.